Imagine waking up every day with a distorted view of the world around you, a lens through which every woman is reduced to nothing more than an object. This isn't just some hypothetical, it's a reality for millions, shaped by a single destructive force. That force, pornography. It's not just about fleeting pleasure or momentary escape. It's about how it warps your perception of women, your relationships, and ultimately yourself. Porn teaches you to see women as commodities, as tools for satisfaction, when the truth is that every woman is a person with depth, dignity, and worth. It's a dangerous illusion that leads to loneliness, emptiness, and a constant yearning for something deeper but never quite fulfilled. But here's the thing, this view isn't set in stone. It can be changed. There's a way to break free from the chains that pornography places on your mind. The journey starts with understanding the root cause of this distortion, and then embracing a perspective that not only respects women but honors your own humanity as well. Stick around to the end, and you'll discover not just the problem, but a way out, a path that can truly restore your vision and your life. Pornography distorts your view of women and your life, but there's a way out. Discover 7 biblical secrets to destroy lust before it destroys. You click the link in the description to learn more and reclaim control. When you view someone as an object, you strip away their humanity. In a world dominated by screens, images, and constant media, it's far too easy to reduce women to mere physical forms, as if they exist solely for consumption. The consequences of this are vast and deeply damaging, not just to the women who are objectified, but to the ones who do the objectifying. The distortion is subtle, but once it takes root, it can change how you see relationships, intimacy, and even your own self-worth. Pornography is one of the most powerful forces driving this objectification. What begins as a seemingly harmless exploration of desire can easily morph into a mindset where women are reduced to nothing more than sexual objects. In these spaces, a woman's value is measured solely by her physical appearance and ability to satisfy. There's no room for depth, for complexity, for her unique humanity. Over time, this mindset can seep into real-world interactions, affecting how you view every woman you encounter, from your colleagues to your friends to your family. Objectifying women through this lens distances you from the truth of who they are. When you stop seeing them as full, multidimensional beings, it becomes easier to treat them with less respect, less kindness, and less empathy. You might start to believe that women exist primarily for your gratification, that their feelings, struggles, and dreams are secondary to their physical appeal. This can lead to toxic relationships and a loss of true intimacy, as you're unable to connect with someone beyond their outward appearance. But the damage doesn't just affect others, it harms you too. Every time you objectify someone, you diminish your own ability to love and appreciate them fully. Instead of seeing them for who they are, you reduce them to a one-dimensional role that fits your selfish desires. The more you do this, the less you will be able to understand true love and intimacy. Relationships will become shallow, and the cycle of disconnection will continue to grow. The truth is, every woman you encounter is a person with dreams, fears, and emotions that go far beyond what's visible on the surface. When you learn to see her as such, something shifts. You start to experience genuine connections, deeper conversations, and more meaningful relationships. You begin to appreciate women for the richness of their experiences, their personalities, and the ways in which they contribute to the world around them. This isn't a sacrifice, but a reward, a deeper, more fulfilling way to engage with the people around you. Breaking free from the objectifying mindset takes time and intentionality. It requires recognizing that every time you consume content that reduces women to objects, you're actively shaping your perception of them. But there is a way to change that, by turning to healthier, more respectful views of women, views that acknowledge their complexity. You start the process of healing, for both yourself and the women in your life. This journey won't be easy, but it's necessary for living a life marked by genuine love, respect, and understanding. You can choose a different path, one where you see women as they truly are, valuable, beautiful, and worthy of dignity. Imagine building a relationship with someone only to discover that your expectations of love and intimacy have been shaped by something completely unrealistic. This is the harsh reality for many who allow pornography to mold their perception of relationships. What starts as a casual habit, often unnoticed, slowly begins to seep into how you view your partner, love, and connection. Over time, it distorts everything. Instead of seeing a person with complexities, desires, and a deep inner world, you begin to view them as a means to an end, something to fulfill your needs, a tool for pleasure. Real relationships are about connection, trust, and emotional depth, not just physical satisfaction. But when you introduce pornography into the mix, it doesn't just alter the way you see intimacy, it robs you of the ability to truly connect. Porn teaches you to focus on the physical, the instant gratification, while ignoring the deeper, more meaningful elements that relationships are built on. The tenderness, the vulnerability, the shared moments of laughter and pain, these are the real treasures of human connection, yet they are often overlooked when the lens is distorted. As you consume more pornography, your expectations begin to shift. You want the perfect, instant gratification that pornography offers. No patience is required, no effort to understand, just quick, impersonal satisfaction. And then, when you step into a real relationship, you wonder why your partner doesn't match up to the scenes you've seen on a screen. You expect passion without the need for emotional vulnerability or communication. The truth is, this sets you up for failure. Intimacy isn't about performance, it's about presence. It's about showing up for someone, hearing them, understanding them, and being vulnerable together. But pornography distorts that by teaching you that intimacy is a series of perfect actions performed by perfect people. This creates a disconnect between the real world and the fantasy world, one where relationships are seen as disposable and sex is stripped of meaning. What's worse, the more you indulge in pornography, the less you're able to see people for who they truly are. The emotional connection you once longed for is overshadowed by the need for novelty and the thrill of something new. Real relationships require effort, understanding, and compromise, things that are often bypassed when the focus is on the next quick fix. It's no surprise that many people who struggle with pornography also struggle with feelings of isolation, loneliness, and a lack of emotional fulfillment. They're constantly seeking something they can never truly find in fleeting images or videos. True intimacy requires time and effort. It's built on trust, respect, and a willingness to be present with someone, flaws and all. The connection comes not from perfection, but from embracing each other's imperfections. Real love is messy. It's not always easy, but it's real. And when you allow pornography to enter your life, it robs you of the ability to truly experience that love. It's important to realize that you don't have to stay stuck in this distorted view of relationships. You have the power to change how you see others and how you approach love. True intimacy is waiting for you, but it requires the courage to turn away from the false promises that pornography offers and embrace the messy, beautiful reality of real human connection. When you begin to see women as nothing more than a means to your own pleasure, you're not just damaging them, you're destroying yourself. It might seem harmless at first, a fleeting thought or a momentary indulgence, but the truth is, this mindset seeps into every aspect of your life, distorting your relationships, your self-worth, and your very understanding of what it means to be human. Consider this. When you reduce a woman to an object for your satisfaction, you're stripping away her value, her individuality, and her dignity. In doing so, you undermine your own capacity for genuine love and respect. What begins as a superficial indulgence becomes a prison for both you and the woman you're involved with, whether you realize it or not. The world around you starts to blur. Instead of seeing women as full, complex individuals, you begin to view them through the lens of utility. What can they offer you? How can they satisfy your desires? And when they no longer serve that purpose, you move on to the next. This mindset breeds a cycle of emptiness. What was once a fleeting thought becomes a constant drive, a drive to seek out more, to satisfy a hunger that cannot be filled. Each moment of gratification leaves you feeling more hollow than before, craving something deeper but unable to find it. What you fail to realize is that this longing isn't just for physical satisfaction, it's for something far greater. It's the need for connection, for intimacy, for genuine love. But when you view women as tools for your pleasure, you block yourself off from the very thing you're searching for. The destruction doesn't stop there. When you live in a world where relationships are transactional, where people are used to fulfill desires and then discarded when they no longer serve that purpose, you begin to lose sight of the true meaning of love and intimacy. True love, the kind that builds lasting connections, is rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and vulnerability. But when lust dictates your interactions, you replace connection with objectification and intimacy with self-centeredness. Eventually, you start to internalize the same mindset. You may begin to see your own value solely through what you can provide or how you can perform, not recognizing your intrinsic worth as a person. You start to question your own worthiness, feeling like you're only valuable when you're able to offer something in return. The more you feed this cycle, the further you drift from your authentic self, and the more you lose sight of the real purpose of relationships, love, mutual respect, and shared growth. Breaking free from this pattern isn't easy, but it's possible. The first step is recognizing the damage you've done not just to others, but to yourself. The real cure lies in restoring the dignity of women, seeing them not as objects, but as individuals with their own hopes, dreams, and desires. By embracing this truth, you unlock the potential for real connection, real love, and ultimately, a life that's rich with meaning and purpose. So, stop and ask yourself, how much longer will you allow this destructive pattern to control your life? There's a way out. It starts with seeing the value in others, and in doing so, reclaiming your own. Pornography isn't just a physical or emotional issue, it's a spiritual one too. You may think it's harmless, a way to satisfy temporary urges, but the truth is, it chips away at your soul in ways you might never fully realize. At first, it feels like a secret indulgence, a way to escape or numb pain. But it doesn't take long for its impact to bleed into every area of your life, your relationships, your self-worth, and your most intimate connection with God. The problem isn't just the act itself, but the mindset it creates. Pornography distorts what it means to be truly human. It teaches us to see people, especially women, as nothing more than tools for our own pleasure. And over time, this false view seeps into how we treat others, how we engage in relationships, and how we even view ourselves. The deeper you go, the more difficult it becomes to break free, as the addiction reinforces a warped sense of reality. Spiritually, this distortion is devastating. Our hearts were designed to reflect God's love, respect, and understanding of one another. When pornography takes root, it pulls us away from these foundational principles, replacing compassion and empathy with selfishness and objectification. This isn't just damaging to our relationships, it's damaging to our relationship with God. You can't pour out genuine love when your view of others is tainted by selfish desire. You might feel like you can compartmentalize this part of your life, keeping it separate from your spiritual walk. But God doesn't allow for compartmentalization. The Bible teaches that we are called to love others as ourselves, Matthew 22:39, and this includes our sexuality. The energy we put into distorted views of intimacy affects our spiritual growth. Instead of nurturing purity, we feed into a cycle of lust that warps our minds and hearts, leading us further away from the wholeness God desires for us. Pornography doesn't just affect the act of viewing it, it affects the very way we see the world. It steals your peace, clouds your judgment, and fills you with guilt and shame. This shame is a heavy burden, one that weighs you down and distances you from the freedom Christ offers. It creates a wall between you and God, making it harder to hear His voice, harder to experience His grace, and harder to walk in the fullness of what He has for you. But the good news is that there is hope. God doesn't leave us in this broken place. His grace covers our mistakes, and His power is greater than any addiction. Breaking free from the chains of pornography is a spiritual journey, one that requires surrender, a willingness to confront the truth about yourself, and a commitment to real transformation. The path to healing starts with acknowledging the deep spiritual damage pornography causes. Recognizing that it's not just a bad habit, but a destructive force that attacks your soul. From there, you can begin to rebuild. Turning to God, seeking His forgiveness, and embracing His transforming power can restore what was lost and help you regain clarity of mind and purity of heart. This isn't a journey of perfection, it's a journey of redemption. If you're ready to break free from the grip of lust and reclaim your life, grab 7 biblical secrets to destroy lust today. The link is in the video description and pinned comment. Take action now. When you feed your mind with images and ideas that strip away a woman's dignity, something inside of you starts to shift. It's not just about what you see on the screen, it's about how those images alter the way you see yourself and the world around you. You might not realize it at first, but it starts to erode your self-perception, shaping your thoughts, desires, and actions in ways that leave you empty and disconnected. At first, It feels like just a harmless escape, a way to relieve stress or boredom. But over time, the mind begins to adapt. The more you indulge in these distorted views, the more you start to measure your own worth by fleeting, external factors, how you look, how well you can perform, or how many people are drawn to you for superficial reasons. Your identity becomes less about who you are as a person and more about what you can offer, what you can take, or what you can possess. You lose sight of the fact that you are so much more than just an object or a tool for pleasure. You forget that you have intrinsic value that isn't tied to your appearance or fleeting moments of satisfaction. This shift affects your relationships too. The longer you hold on to these distorted views, the harder it becomes to connect with others on a deeper, more meaningful level. You begin to objectify people, reducing them to roles or positions that serve your desires. You might find it difficult to truly see women as individuals with their own thoughts, feelings, and worth. Instead, you start to see them as things to be used or discarded. That view doesn't just hurt them, it hurts you as well, because it cuts off your ability to form genuine, intimate connections. The person you were meant to become, the one capable of loving deeply and being loved in return, starts to slip further out of reach. This damage isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. When you view yourself through the lens of lust, you're trapped in a cycle that can never fully satisfy you. You may experience temporary pleasure, but it's always followed by emptiness. You start to feel disconnected from your true purpose, as if you're just going through the motions, trying to fill a hole inside that never seems to get smaller. It's a dangerous game you're playing, one that leaves you feeling like you're never enough, never good enough, never clean enough, never worthy enough. It takes away your ability to see your own worth, and in turn, it makes it harder to respect and value others. As your self-perception weakens, so does your ability to see others through a compassionate and loving lens. This erosion of your own sense of identity and value doesn't just affect your relationships with others. It affects the most important relationship you have, the one with yourself. When you can't see your own value, you can't see the value in others either. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay stuck in this cycle. Recognizing the damage is the first step to healing. It starts with understanding your true worth, the inherent value you have as a person. You're not defined by your desires, your past mistakes, or how you've been conditioned to see the world. You are so much more. And as you begin to rebuild your self-perception on a foundation of respect, truth, and self-worth, you can begin to heal not just from the harm you've done to yourself, but from the harm you've caused others as well. It's time to stop measuring yourself by the lies that have been fed to you. It's time to reclaim your true identity and live out the purpose you were always meant for. From the very beginning, the Bible presents a radically different view of women than what society often conveys. In a world that can treat women as lesser beings or commodities, Scripture calls for something far more profound, a deep, unwavering respect and love. The message is clear. Women are to be honored, valued, and cherished. But how often do we truly live out this call? It starts with understanding the foundational truth that both men and women are created in the image of God. In Genesis, God made humanity male and female in his image, meaning that both share the same inherent worth and dignity. This truth isn't just a nice idea, it's a fundamental part of how we should view each other. If we truly grasp this, how could we ever objectify, degrade, or mistreat anyone, let alone women? If every woman you meet is an image bearer of God, how could you not show them the respect, kindness, and love they deserve? But the Bible takes this a step further. It doesn't just say, respect women because they are human. It calls men to actively love women as Christ loves the church. Imagine that for a moment. Christ's love for the church is sacrificial, pure, and selfless. He gave everything for her, loving her not because she was perfect, but because he chose to. This is the standard for men when it comes to loving and respecting women. It's not about what they can offer you, but about offering yourself for their good. This love isn't just about grand gestures. It's found in the everyday actions and words that either build up or tear down. The way we speak to women, the way we treat them in our homes, workplaces, and communities reflects our true respect for them. A woman should never feel like she is less than or unimportant, but rather cherished and valued. When we truly understand this biblical call, our actions align with God's vision of equality and mutual respect. Furthermore, Scripture consistently calls for men to protect and defend women. The Bible speaks of the man's role as a protector physically, emotionally, and spiritually. In a culture where women are often seen as vulnerable or inferior, the Bible presents men as guardians, entrusted to care for and uphold women in their dignity. This doesn't just mean physical protection, but also creating spaces where women can thrive, pursue their dreams, and find security. But perhaps one of the most powerful truths about how to love and respect women comes from the idea of honoring them with humility. The Bible challenges men not to elevate themselves above women or seek to control them, but to recognize their equal worth and treat them as partners. Men and women, together, are co-laborers in God's work, with distinct roles but equal value. To truly respect a woman is to treat her as an equal, with a heart that seeks her good above all. This biblical call isn't easy, especially in a world filled with false images, negative stereotypes, and pressure to conform to unhealthy standards. But the vision Scripture offers is one where respect, love, and equality aren't just ideals, they are commands. When we choose to follow this call, we don't just transform our relationships with women, we also honor God's design for humanity. And in doing so, we create a world where women are no longer objectified or devalued, but uplifted and revered, as God always intended. Chastity and purity are more than just personal virtues, they're the foundation of a healthy, balanced life. The world often paints these ideals as old-fashioned or restrictive, but there's a deeper truth to them that few truly understand. It's not about suppressing desire or living in constant self-denial. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Purity allows you to experience love, intimacy, and connection in their truest form, untainted by the distortions that come with unchecked desire. When it comes to understanding purity, the first thing to recognize is that it's not about simply avoiding sin. It's about a radical change in perspective, a transformation of the heart. Chastity, as it's often called, isn't about repressing what's natural. It's about elevating it. The real beauty of chastity is that it doesn't treat the body or desire as something to be ashamed of. Rather, it teaches us to approach them with respect, understanding, and a sense of purpose. The world tells us that we can find fulfillment through casual encounters, through the pursuit of instant gratification. But in reality, these experiences often leave us more empty than before. They promise satisfaction, but only deliver a fleeting sense of pleasure that fades as quickly as it arrives. This cycle doesn't lead to freedom, it leads to enslavement. Lust, unchecked, becomes a prison. It distorts how we see ourselves and others, turning relationships into transactions rather than connections. Chastity, on the other hand, frees us. It teaches us that true intimacy is not found in physicality, but in genuine emotional and spiritual connection. When we engage with others through this lens, we stop seeing them as objects to be used and begin to recognize their inherent worth as individuals. It's about treating others with the same respect, dignity, and care we would want for ourselves. This, in turn, fosters deeper, more meaningful relationships, ones that are not only more satisfying but more fulfilling in the long run. But purity doesn't stop at the physical realm. It touches every part of our lives. It's about purity of thought, of speech, and of intention. What you think and how you speak has just as much power to shape your character and relationships as what you do. If your mind and heart are constantly filled with lustful thoughts or desires, it will inevitably spill over into your actions. But when you focus on purity, you begin to see others and yourself in a different light. You start to recognize the value of honesty, trust, and kindness in your interactions, which are the true cornerstones of love. The battle for purity isn't always easy. The world is full of distractions, temptations, and messages that push us toward indulgence. But that's exactly why it's so important. Choosing purity is a conscious decision to reject what the world offers in favor of something far richer and more rewarding. It's a choice to pursue something deeper, a love that transcends the surface and touches the very core of who we are. Living with purity isn't about being perfect. It's about striving for something better. It's a commitment to living with integrity, to honoring your body and your mind, and to seeking relationships that are built on mutual respect and love. In this journey, we don't just find freedom from lust. We find true peace, true connection, and true fulfillment. There's a truth that often gets buried under shame and guilt. No matter how deep the addiction, no matter how lost you feel, there is always a way back. When you're caught in the cycle of pornography, it can feel like you've crossed a line you'll never be able to return from. But that's a lie. Healing is possible, and redemption is not just a distant hope, it's an invitation for today. The first step in healing is acknowledging the damage. Pornography isn't just a habit, it's a slow, insidious poison that affects every area of life, your relationships, your self-worth, and even your ability to see others as they truly are. It warps your understanding of love and intimacy, leaving you empty and craving something you can never truly find. But the good news is, this doesn't have to define you. In fact, acknowledging the problem is the first step toward a life of freedom. The second step is understanding that redemption isn't about fixing yourself or proving your worth, it's about accepting the grace that is already offered. This isn't a process of self-reformation, it's an encounter with a love that transforms. When you bring your brokenness before God, He doesn't stand there waiting for you to get it right. He meets you exactly where you are, in your mess and your failures. It's not about being perfect, it's about being open to the transformation that only faith can bring. Healing comes from surrender, and this surrender is not about giving up but giving over. You're giving over the weight of guilt, the chains of addiction, and the hopelessness that often comes with it. By surrendering, you're allowing faith to heal the wounds that pornography has caused, and you're stepping into a life of purpose, not shame. It's a new perspective on relationships, on intimacy, and on your very identity. The power of faith lies in its ability to rebuild what pornography tears down. Where lust distorts and dehumanizes, faith restores and elevates. It transforms the way you view others, especially women, and helps you reclaim the true meaning of love and respect. Through faith, you begin to see the world with new eyes, recognizing the beauty, dignity, and worth in those around you, especially in relationships where intimacy has been clouded by false expectations. But perhaps the most powerful part of this healing process is the knowledge that you're not doing it alone. The journey to freedom is not a solitary battle. It's a walk alongside others who have experienced the same struggle. You're part of a community, a family that supports you and lifts you up when you stumble. And most importantly, you have the strength that comes from something greater than yourself, a strength that is rooted in love, grace, and the power of forgiveness. It's easy to feel like healing is impossible when you've been stuck in addiction for so long. The road may seem long, and the scars may feel permanent, but with faith, you're not just recovering from something, you're becoming whole again. You're rediscovering your true identity, not defined by past mistakes, but by the person you were always meant to be. So, if you're tired of being trapped, if you're ready to experience true freedom and healing, know this: redemption is waiting for you. It's available now, and all it takes is a willingness to open your heart, surrender, and trust that the power of faith can heal even the deepest wounds. The path to healing is not about perfection, it's about progress. Every step you take toward freedom is a victory, and no matter how far you've fallen, it's never too late to start again. You don't have to carry the weight of lust and shame any longer. Through faith, you can experience a transformation that restores your mind, heart, and relationships. But this journey doesn't end here. If you're ready to take control of your life and destroy the cycle of lust before it destroys you, there's a deeper level of freedom waiting for you. In my ebook, 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust Before It Destroys You, you'll discover practical, powerful, and biblically grounded steps to overcome lust for good. Don't wait any longer to reclaim your life. Click the link in the description to get your copy now and start your journey to lasting freedom today.